lovelies, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to work with chunky glitters and dip liquids. As you know, for the past couple of months now, I've been using the gel method, but I think I've actually developed an allergy to that, mainly on my left hand because that's the hand that I usually do most, with dips. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to go back to using dip liquids, which is fine. It's just been a while since I've done it. So I did my left hand already. So this is what I'm going to be doing. Just two different solid colors plus a glitter accent nail and then a glitter ombre on the index and the ring fingers. This is also my anniversary mani, which I know I've been talking about for a little while now. So my husband and I are going away. After this comes out, it'll probably be over the trip, so we will have one away already, but anyway, that's besides the point. So I'm using 915 Aesthetics for today's mani, and I'm using the colors Fuchsia, Beach Bunny, and Summer. So Fuchsia is like a gorgeous fuchsia color, and it just really goes on nicely. And Beach Bunny is a bright pink. And then Summer is a chunky glitter that kind of has like both of those colors mixed in and some other colors as well. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to probably, for the sake of this video, just speed things up a little bit. So that way you're not seeing me like dip the solid and everything. So I'm just going to do the glitter placement on camera in real time. And then the rest will be sped up. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same pattern that I did here on my right hand, of course. So what I'm using today is, I'm not using this, but it came with the 2-in-1 base top. I actually got this off of Amazon. It's Modelones 2-in-1 base and top dip powder. So I haven't used Modelones liquids before, but I did see a review, I think the Dipping Pixie did, maybe a year or two ago, where she used these liquids and she really liked how they worked. And I must say, I did it this hand and they worked great. I didn't use the activator. I did use Glam Co's Activate because I like the way that goes on. So I'm just going to do the regular dip method. I'm actually going to pour over because the trick to this mani is I'm not going to encapsulate and clear or do any filing if I don't have to. I didn't have to do anything on my left hand, so I'm hoping that it'll come out the same way on my right hand. So I'll show you a couple of techniques when I get into the glitter on how you can get it to lay flat so you don't have to do any filing or very minimal filing. So stay tuned for that. So I'm going to go ahead and start the dipping process, and you can go ahead and just follow along with me here. Okay, so I have all of the colors down here. Now what I'm going to do is put the glitter on my middle finger with the dip liquid. I will say one thing about these bottles. I do not like them because you see how flat they are? They don't stand up. I've like dropped it, I don't know how many times. So if you're looking to get those, just be aware of that. I do like the fact that the brush is thin So you can like get down like to the cuticle line without touching your cuticle line or having to worry about that, which is really nice. So I'm going to place a layer of the dip liquid onto my finger here. And then for the first application, I'm going to pour over the glitter. So this is how we're looking. I'm going to tap down with my finger anything that might be sticking up, because there are a few that are sticking up. And I'm just going to clean up my cuticle line because we don't want any chunky glitters on that line, because that is the key to not having to file, is to make sure that there's no rogue glitters sticking out when you're done with the application. Okay, so there we go. That's pretty flat, if you can see that. There's not much sticking up. So for the second application, once this dries, I'm actually going to lay it flat into my Dipped in Chaos here, just to get some more of those glitters. And a lot of chunky glitters will come up with that application, but we can knock some of those off that we don't want on the edges and on the top of it. Okay, so now I'm going to go back in and do another application of the glitter using that same lay-in method that I just mentioned, making sure we have every part of the nail nice and covered, and just place it right in. Tapping off the excess, and you see how it got all of that glitter on it. So we're just going to move some of these pieces off and make sure they're not going to be in our way. Just move them around. We don't want any chunky glitters like that. And then you want to pat the nail flat. So pat down anything that might be sticking up. Yes, you will get some on your other finger, but that's okay. You can just wipe it off. And this is something that you cannot do with the gel method. You can only do it with the dip liquid method, or else it won't lay flat. Okay, so there's a little bald spot here. I don't know if you can see that right at the top here. So I'm going to have to place the glitter there. Just going to dab a little bit of my base on and then dab that onto my brush and pick up one of the chunkier glitters. I can use one of the ones that fell here when I was pouring it over. And there we go. I'm just going to press it down so it stays and adheres. That way I can go in and press everything down again to make sure that new glitter can kind of get incorporated with everything else on the nail. Let me just pick up another little piece here, stick it up at the top, making sure everything is nice and tucked in on the sides. We have nothing that's protruding out on the sidewalls of the nail, because again, that is key to making sure that everything lays flat. Just gonna fix another little spot here, and then we should be good to go. I'm actually going to grab this foily piece. Oops. And again, just holding that piece down so it adheres to the nail to make sure everything stays flat. All right, so now the next trick is going to be applying the activator once this dries and doing a technique that I've seen before and I did on this hand and it really worked well. So let me go ahead and start the ombre on my other two fingers, and then we can move into the activation of the middle finger. And I'm actually going to do that on this hand, or on these two fingers as well. So for this, I'm just going up, not even putting the base all the way up on the nail. I'm taking my eyeshadow brush here, angling the nail down, and just tapping that glitter on. Again, the same thing here. We're going to clean up the cuticle, make sure that nothing is sticking out, and then just pat it down. Now this is a little bit different because it's kind of laying flatter as it is, if you can see that. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing with this finger. Putting it halfway up the nail, and then just tapping that glitter on. All right, so now here's where you can kind of like push stuff down a little bit because I don't want stuff that high on this finger. Clean up the cuticle, patting anything down that needs to be patted down. And there we go. And I'm going to put more on. I'm not going to leave the ombre nails like this. So we'll let that dry and then we'll do another couple of glitters around those fingers. But I do want to get to this nail because this is dried. So I'm going to put my activator on. Make sure I coat that nice and good. And then I always kind of brush off my activator brush just to get anything that might have stuck onto it off. And then I have these little bags. I got them on Amazon. I'll link them down below. I think there's like 300 in the pack. And you just want to take this while the activator is still wet and form it over the nail with the glitter. And press it down and just keep wrapping it around just so you can form those glitters and make them as flat as possible and they kind of bend to the shape of your nail. Kind of like to go down to the cuticle line with my fingernail and get it all stuck down in there so it's nice and flat. And then see, nothing transferred onto the bag. Still clean. And look at how flat those glitters are. No need to file. It's amazing. I love this technique. I wish I would have found it sooner. All right, let's see how these fingers are doing. I'm going to go ahead and put a little more, not that, that's my activator, a little more base onto my index finger here. Not a lot, just a little bit. And sprinkle some more on. Really concentrating on this corner here because I didn't get that very well the first time. Okay, and we're just going to clean the cuticle. All right, and we're going to do the same thing with the ring finger again, adding more of the base. and sprinkling more of the glitter on. Okay, I do have a pretty large glitter here that I'm just going to knock off before it hardens on. There we go. All right. So those look pretty flat. I'm going to stop the video so these can kind of harden up a little bit, then come back and do that same method on the ombre fingers that I did on my middle finger. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing again as we did on the middle finger. So I'm just going to apply a layer of the activator onto my index finger. And then I'm going to take the baggie and just put it around the nail, making sure I form those glitters to the finger so that nothing sticks up to reduce filing. Just go down into the cuticle line. Just pat and pat and pat. Okay, so this is how we're looking. Everything is nice and flat. I'm going to go ahead now and brush everything off and also wipe off some of the activator with alcohol so it doesn't contaminate my top coat. And then I'll come back for the top coat application and the cuticle oil and we'll be all done. Okay, I'm back now. We're going to go ahead and put that base top coat, base 2-in-1 top coat on as our topper. Just get this little piece of glitter out that must have snuck in there. There we go. So the application for the top coat, and this goes for any brand, is you do the first application, like 3 or 2 swipes depending on how big your nail is, and then you wait for like 30 seconds to a minute. Then you go back, starting with the nail that you started on for the first application, and do like a more detailed application of it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'll speed up this process for you, and then we'll come back once it's dried for the cuticle oil. Okay, here's how we are looking. This is all done and top coated and dried up. For some reason that middle finger took a while to dry, but it finally did dry. So I'm going to go ahead and use my Smell the Rainbow Cuticle Oil by Triple D Dips. This was in the last Diva box that I subscribed to, which I don't even know when that was because it's a monthly thing where you have to like rebuy it. So probably April, I think it was the last time I got it. I'm not quite sure, but I love the way it smells. So I'm using it to hydrate up my cuticles here. I really hope you found this video helpful and you enjoyed it. Again, it was just, you know, a little tutorial about how to get those chunky glitters to stay flat and not really have to do much filing. If anything, maybe like just around the edges to reshape and everything. But like, I'm not one to want to sit there and do the clear powder over my nails just because I've done it in the past and I'm not really happy with the way it comes out. It does add a lot of bulk to your nail. So the less filing I have to do, the better. So I can like avoid doing that. I really love this method and I think I'll continue to use it whenever I'm working with chunky glitters. Thanks so much for watching as always. Have a lovely day.